God, I always hate this part. Ah! Hey guys, I'm Mr. D-Bear. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today we have for you a guide. And not just any guide, a guide on Update 2. So at this point, pretty much all the work is done for Update 2. We've gotten, I think to believe, our final hot patch. That is supposed to be fixing the desync. And now what we're going to do is show you guys everything that's going on up until the game and show you how to get around and get started. So this is a bit of a long one, so I am going to put timestamps in the description so that, you know, if you already kind of know your way around some of the things in this video and you've been playing EVRIMA, you can get to the spots you need to go to find out more information that you need. I like to come from the standpoint of assuming the person that is watching knows nothing so that I don't miss anything. But if you do get anything useful out of this video, please give it a like and subscribe. We're going to keep coming out with more tutorials and combat guides for future updates. And don't forget, I stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come by, play with us anytime. We have a great community, and I'll put the Discord and the Twitch link in the description so you can come play with us anytime. Now let's talk EVRIMA. So if you press insert, you will see a lot of information about your dinosaur, your growth percentage, your health, which is this little heart here. And the less health you have, the meter will go down to show you. You have your asset location, which shows you your coordinates on the map, which you can use to find where you are and find your friends. The group section, which will tell you who is in your group. And you can highlight whether or not you use group name tags, so seeing players' names above their player characters. Now, if you're on a laptop, you will probably have to use function plus insert to open this window. Just a fun little fact. So here we're looking at your stamina, food, and water levels. And you can actually see the percentages if you open the chat by pressing enter and hover over them, and you can see the exact percentages of where you are at. Next is finding where you are on this map. So this is the Volnona map for the Isle, and I will put the link in the description below for that. But basically what you go in here and do is you can put in the first 3 digits of your coordinates. So using the thousandths place coordinates. For example, that -266, the first number would be -266,000. So just use all the numbers before the comma. It will show you exactly where you are on the map. Now for chatting in the global, local, species, and group chat, you press enter and cycle through them by pushing tab. Next, you can hide the chat with F6. F6 is the hotkey for that. And there's another chat option in the gameplay settings where you can auto show chat or auto hide it. So if you auto show chat, it'll always pop up. If you unclick that and push F6, it'll just hide it until you bring it back up. Now F10 will hide all of the UI and replace it with this nice little Isle symbol in the top right hand corner. Good for screenshots or, you know, anything else you want to do with that. Also, another hotkey is F9, which you probably don't want to push. It hides the tooltips for when you can drink and eat. And the only way I was able to fix that is by logging in and out. You can't actually toggle it back on to see the tooltips again. So now we're going just over some basic movement here. So WASD movement. If you push shift, you will start running. An interesting thing with shift, if you tap it, you will stay running. You don't actually have to hold shift, but you can hold shift as well. So that's a nice little thing if you are running across the map and you don't need to hold that shift key the whole time. Now another thing with movement is holding the alt key gives you a free look camera while you're running. So you can stay running forward just by holding W, and then you can hold alt and move your camera without changing the direction your character is actually moving. A lot of dinosaurs, bipedal dinosaurs, that means running on 2 legs. You have a crouch feature with left control. Makes you very, very sneaky and silent. Now we'll go over sitting. So you push H to sit, and this will regain your stamina faster, heal your main health bar faster, so the damage that gives you blood around your screen. And there are 2 ways to get up from sitting, and this is very, very important. So if you press H again, you will get up without using stamina. But if you press a movement key, WAS or D, you will get up quickly, but you will use stamina. Now we've gone over where your food is at and how you know how much there is. Now we need to find it. So if you hold Q and you press Sniff, you will see these particle effects pop up if they are around you. The blue is for water source, the red is a body, and the green particle effect is bush. If you're a carnivore, you're going to be going towards red particles for meat. If you're an herbivore, you're going to be going towards those green particles for your bush. Another important part of the sniffing mechanic, you can see the blood on the ground. I have been hit with a bleed attack, and that is the blood, and you can use that to track things like other players and AI. So now that we know how to find food and water, here's how you do it. Press E to interact with food and water, and you will ingest it. So it's very important when you are eating not to overeat. As you can see, I throw up there. You will get this debuff, and you can see my stamina, food, and water levels are cut off. A portion of them is cut off, and this does stack, so you can keep overeating, and it will stack up. Even just overeating once will take you just about 20 minutes to actually wait out the debuff, and that's the only thing you can do for the debuff is wait it out. Now, if you're a carnivore, you can drag bodies with G if the body is smaller than you and move it around. You can also do this with bodies that are in water, so you can drag them out of the water to be able to eat them. Now, if the body is bigger than you in weight, you can hold G and you will pull off a meat chunk that you can walk around with. You can eat it while it's in your mouth. You can drop it and eat it that way. And then finally, the safe logging mechanic. So you sit and then you hold H and you will go into your safe log timer. 60 seconds, you can't move, and when the timer reaches 0, you will log out of the server safely. Now, another mechanic that is tied with bleeding and tracking and sniffing and footprints is mud wallowing. So if you're in mud, you hold E for the whole duration, and then you'll be covered in mud, and your tracks will be covered for the duration that you have the mud on, so things won't be able to see your tracks if they are trying to find you. Now, the mud will get washed off if you go into water, so be aware of that. Now, the other main function of mud wallowing probably has to do with the bleeding effect. So if you get bleed, you wallow in mud, and then it will stop the bleeding from continuing to damage your blood pool. Now, if you get hit by anything again, even if it is an attack that does not do bleed, it will open your wounds back up and you will continue bleeding. So to quickly explain bleed, if you get hit with an attack that bleeds, this blood droplet will show up. You will steadily see the blood droplet unfill, and if it reaches 0, you will die. Now, at 30% blood loss, you'll start to regain stamina slower, your healing is affected. At 80% blood loss, your stamina regen is severely affected, and I'm talking you're going to be walking around gaining no stamina, you're going to take forever to heal, and then if it reaches 0, you die. From what I've seen, nothing really affects how quickly your blood pool heals. It's kind of just static, not really affected by anything else. But if you want to know more about bleed, like what causes you to bleed for longer and other status effects that go into how bleed works, watch the bleed video. That'll get you going where you need to be. Now, I'm sure you want to play with your friends. So if you go up to the same species dinosaur in 2-call, you can invite a friend to your group. The same goes for if they 2-call you, you respond with a 2-call, and then you'll be in the group together. If you press insert and go to the group page, you can push leave group and you will exit the group. So there are group limit sizes for Hypsi and Dryo. It's 10 max in a group. Utah and Tenonto are 6 in a group. Carno is 3 and Stego is 4. So Hypsi Controls, special ability is the right click spit. So you can see the yellow marker, star marker, that's showing that it's going to hit. Shoots the vomit or whatever the hell it is, and blinds the target, so they have to push E to wipe that off, or eventually it will go away, and it clouds their screen so they can't really see. And you can run while doing this and shoot on the fly, but another interesting thing you can do is with the Alt look, how I showed you earlier, if you hold Alt and aim this, you can run straight and aim to the side without actually turning your character. So pretty useful for getting a little bit trick shotty with it, and you can aim all the way behind you. So if something's chasing you and you're running forward, you just hold Alt look and look behind you, and you can shoot directly behind you. Another cool little thing that Hypsi can do is its jump ability. So if you hold spacebar, it will charge up the jump, and you can jump into trees just like this. Now the trick to this is to kind of just stand next to the tree and don't push any movement keys when you jump. You will naturally go forward just a little bit. If you push any movement keys, you will overshoot by a lot. Now Dryo's left click is a bite. It does a little bit of damage. It can actually kill a Utah in like 9 headshots or something like that. The special ability is the dodge, which is the right click. The dodge is much more consistent with where you want to aim it if you are moving forward. So if you're holding W and moving forward and you right click and you aim where you want to jump, then you will jump in that direction. If you're standing still in dodge, it kind of just goes all over the place. It's not very consistent like that. So we'll go with the next biggest next, which is the Utah. Left click to bite, and then the Utah also has an alt attack. So if you hold Alt and left click, you will alt attack in that direction. So alt attack uses stamina, and it's very, very quick too. Now if you face the camera behind you and do alt attack, you go a much larger distance, and it's very, very good for if something's chasing you, you know, a Tenonto or something, cutting through them and getting a bite. And you can use the alt camera to aim it while you're running as well. So you get a little bit of distance going if you bite to the sides, and you get the most distance out of biting to the rear. If you alt attack to the front, you don't get much distance. It's almost the same as a normal bite, and I think it is just most effective used as kind of a juke and a quick attack to be fast and beat out the reaction time of the person you're fighting. So Pounce is right click and hold to stay on your target. It uses stamina. And how I like to aim Pounce is I put my head over my target. Don't use the center of your screen like an FPS or, you know, shooting a gun like that. Use your head to aim and you'll hit just about every time. Now, in the current game, you need to be very careful using Pounce. There's a lot of glitches with it, as you can see here, where I land and I just fall through the map. This happened pretty consistently, pouncing at 85%, so just be aware, and you're going to have glitches even at full grown. Sometimes you'll pounce and just fall completely off immediately. Sometimes you'll get stuck in the air. Be very careful with Pounce in the current version, because it will get you killed. Now, for things like Utahs and Dryos, it will just pin them to the ground. You won't be able to kill a Utah with a full pounce. You'll have to bite it at least 3 or 4 times first, and then you'll be able to kill it with a pounce. So if you pounce a tree, you get this stun animation where you're kind of locked into this animation as you get up. That is the same animation that you'll have if you're pouncing something and you run out of stam. You will fall off and have the same stun animation. And now's a good time to talk about how many Utahs you can fit on each dinosaur. You can fit 2 on a Tenonto, 2 on a Carno, and you can fit 4 Utahs on a Stego. Another thing to be careful of is pouncing your teammates off of other animals that they are pouncing, because you can do that and glitch them out. Now, you saw us pounce the tree before and get stunned. Now, if you are pouncing someone and they run by a tree, it will also knock you off. And the same goes for if you are dismounting. If you you hop off of someone and hit a tree, it will stun you on the ground. And this is very, very deadly. You will get wrecked. So this is bucking. This will drain the Utah's stamina while it is pouncing you. So if you are getting pounced, you need to push E to buck. Tenonto buck lasts 3 seconds. Stego buck lasts 9 seconds. Carno bucking animation lasts 6 seconds. I need to be aware of this when you do buck, because you are locked out of doing any other attacks while you are bucking. So effectively, what bucking does time-wise is normally a Utah with a full bar stam can pounce for 14 seconds, and being mounted with someone bucking, as soon as they start pouncing, the pounce only lasts 8 seconds, which is a very critical time difference, because if 2 Utahs pounce a Tenonto without it bucking or knocking one off, the Tenonto will die. Same with the Carno, and the same with the Stego. If 4 Utahs pounce a Stego for the full duration, the Stego will die. Now on to Tenonto controls. Now Tenonto is not as intuitive as the carnivores, right? It has a lot more attacks and takes a lot more time to master. So we'll start out here with the left click in a direction is the claw attack. The claw attack will apply a bleed, and it will go in the direction that your mouse is pointing. Now there are two ways to perform the claw attack. You can either stay stationary and left click in a direction, or you can push Z to toggle your slow walk, and that will allow you to move around and also use the claw attack instead of biting. And this actually makes it more spammable if you have the slow walk on by toggling Z, because otherwise, if you're normal walking and you left click, sometimes if you spam it, you will instead bite because you're technically moving. So by turning the Z walk on, you eliminate the bite from being able to happen and instead can consistently use the claw attack. So if you're moving and left click, you will bite instead. A very, very good and effective move. If your camera is facing more towards the front, you will right click and you will kick. Now, if the camera is faced towards the rear, and I'm showing you the limits right now, it's like a 45-degree cone to the rear, you will actually do the tail slam. You can also kick and run at the same time, so you can line up nice little skill shots if you turn your body away and, you know, kick something. Now this is what a kick will do to a Utah. Will knock it on the ground, leaving you a large opening to just wail on it, and it's probably going to die. And that is also what the tail slam will do. It will knock the Utah over. Stun lock it for just a moment. Now what we're showing you here is where the tail slam can actually knock the Utah over. If it hits the tail, it actually won't knock the Utah over, so you have to hit the head, the body, or very, very near the base tail. If you hit the tip of the tail, it actually won't apply the CC. Now we're going to show that same mechanic with the Carno, except it is a stun. So we're having the Carno Z-walk behind the Tenonto to show you the duration of the stun. Now here's the tail slam as well. That is about a 2-second stun with the tail slam and the kick. And what we're showing here, that there is a cooldown on how often you can be stunned. So we hit the Carno once there with the tail slam, it got stunned, and then we tried repeat hitting it. It had a cooldown on how often it can be stunned. So don't expect to just tail slam, tail slam, tail slam, and stun lock something to death. Now we're just showing where you can hit the Carno to stun it, and the tail right there, it will not give you a stun. So be very mindful of that. Now the Carno, very, very, very strong, very spammable left click to bite. And now you have the Carno's special ability, which is the charge, and you have that from the time you load into the game. You reach max speed, hold right click, and you will charge, and you will see in the bottom right hand corner, I'll blow that up. That is the cooldown, the little red bar. Once it's gone, you can use the charge again. So the Carno charge is very, very useful against other Carnos especially. It gives that 2-second stun just like the Tenonto and leaves you a very, very large opening. So if you use this on other Carnos, you can really, really destroy them. And we charge the Utah, and it does the same thing as the Tenonto tail slam, knocks it down, stuns it. And when we run into the Tenonto, it gives us that same 2-second stun. Now, Tenonto versus Carno matchup, I'll just speak on that very quickly. I believe that is a 60-40, if not 50-50 matchup going to the Carno. It's a very, very even matchup and a very, very fun matchup. And it's very, very skill-based. As you can see, I run into the Stego, and it does not have a care in the world about that. So if you charge something bigger than yourself as a Carno, you will actually get stunned. If you're a young Carno and you decide to charge something bigger, it will actually stun you. Now we're onto the Stego. The left click is a bite. It doesn't really do too much, and you probably won't ever use it. Now the real heavy hitter for this is the tail swing. So the tail swing can actually go 360 degrees, hit in any direction, but the real kicker is the cooldown depending on where you aim it. So if you notice, when my camera is facing directly right or left, perpendicular to the Stego, the attack speed on the tail swing is much, much, much faster. So you can really spam it. But when you put the camera to the front or the back, the cooldown on the attack is much slower. So you need to be very aware of this when you are playing a Stego, and even more aware of it when you are trying to hunt a Stego. You're going to want to bait someone into attacking to the front or the back so that you can get hits in. And in doing this, it is very possible to take down a Stego with a Carno and 2's with Pounce. Now just to explain AI very quickly, if you see in the top right hand corner, it says AAI and SAI. AAI is active AI, so you can see there's 4. SAI is static. So there are nodes across the map that will spawn the AI, and they only spawn when there are players around them, right? So they're not all 300 AI are active across the map all the time. There has to be players around, and then they'll drop in. You can hear them call. You'll have to chase them down quite a bit, and this is kind of my favorite AI spot right here. The 2 swamps on the eastern side of the map. If you go up here in this field, there you'll see like a big rock formation up here too. There's a lot of AI around here. You can see 10 active AI, and I like to come up here and hunt a lot. So if you're having trouble finding AI or food, you might try this spot out just to give you one little locale. This one's pretty separated. We could probably go in on him right now. I'm going on him. I'm dead. He bit his buddy. Fuck, the other Rex is coming towards you. We need help. Oh, nice, nice. He's so close to dying. If you need to back off, I can ride him. Oh, yes! Let's fucking go!